What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Slammer, back with some more Littlewargame action. We're going to be checking out a match between DragonarcherZ in the red in the bottom left, and Visixfan in the top right in the blue trunks. We've got a castle first play coming out from Visixfan. He's facing off against a workshop first from DragonarcherZ. So we're going to have a slight economic advantage for our blue player up here, as he's going to get that early economy advantage out. Note he built the house first so he can keep producing workers, even though before his castle gets out, which is a slight change from some of the older versions of Littlewargame where you'd get the castle first, then the house, then the racks. So just interesting to note that order. Meanwhile, DragonarcherZ continuing to build up his forces here. As he produces, his castle's going to be, on the order of 30 seconds later than Visix's. But he basically has to play this way to get a nice, safe workshop, or get into a safe mech play. So he's got his first cannon out to do. This cannon would be about in time to deal with a first raider that was coming in. Meanwhile, Visix is going to go for a very greedy third base here, off of a single racks, and he's already just starting to macro up his, oh, maybe not. It looked like he was going to head for a third base there, but looks like he's actually doing some sort of either proxy or hidden third base. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. Throw on the units tab here just to see how, the players are doing on workers. You can see that nice gold advantage that Visix has built up for himself because of that faster castle. He's up to 17 versus 14 workers, and he's going for a really obscure third base. Meanwhile, DragonarcherZ is just going to start kiting out with his double Gatling gun production here. He's going to just continue macroing up behind. Off that one base. Looks like he might be going for a greedy third himself, but we'll see about that. It looks like this worker might just be going to repair his Gatling guns and to continue poking. Visix is definitely going to be playing a pretty defensive game. I mean, only producing off of a single barracks, he's going to have very few units. It's unlikely that, well, we'll see if DragonarcherZ decides to do any poking with his Gatling gun force. He's going to have 5 Gatling guns. It's going to be tough if he just decides to really shove hard. It might be tough for Visix to actually deal with that because of just the incredible greediness of his play. I feel like this third base might not pay off for him in the end. We're going to have to keep an eye on the workers tab and everything to see how that ends up shaking up. He does have 3 archers here against 4 cannon. So it's going to be kind of tough for these cannon to get close enough to really hurt these workers, or these archers, I mean. Because he can kind of kite this way and start sniping at them from longer range. Of course, he is also going to be able to repair them using this one worker, as we're going to see in a second here. Looks like 1 cannon might go down, but maybe just fast enough to get out. A lot of workers are going to be pulled here, and that's going to cause Visix to lose a lot of gold here, as they're not mining when they're walking around and doing absolutely nothing. The raider counterattack is good, though. He was able to pick off the worker that was building that castle. And he's already got a couple workers mining on his own third. This also is getting some more production. He's up to 3 barracks, while DragonarcherZ is still just macroing out of that single workshop. He's getting another workshop out. Meanwhile, he's actually managed to trap this raider, but the raider's still going to pick up another kill. He's up to 2 worker kills with this raider, and has enough gold energy now to flash out if he decides to. Maybe he's just going to lose this raider, unfortunately. Too bad. If he had flashed here and then maybe flashed here is possible. Well, I don't know if you can flash across there. I think you can. But he could have maybe sniped that final worker. Meanwhile, he's got more workers coming up, and Visixfan is just skyrocketing ahead in the economy. He's up 9 workers here. Pretty significant for this stage in the game. At the same time, he found himself a little bit supply blocked there at 50. Had to throw down 2 houses. And DragonarcherZ is just gonna keep dancing around with this force of cannons. He doesn't realize that Visix has this castle over here, so he's basically just trying to keep dodging around here and deny a third base taking. In fact, it looks like he might have smelled something out, and he might be actually going this way, or he might just be moving his Gatling guns out of position, which seems more likely. Of course, if we look at the nice snipes here from Visix, he's going to snipe down a couple of these cannons. If we look at income, overall, Visix is almost 1,000 gold ahead. So that's going to give him just a really nice economic powerhouse going into the later stages of this game. And I don't think Daz really realizes that this base is taken. Because he probably thinks that, I mean, he actually probably can see using these cattle traps that this base is being taken. So he's assuming that he's up in economy, but he couldn't be farther from the truth. In fact, he's far behind. As we have the double upgrades coming out for the forges, single upgrades coming out for the Rax player here. I'm starting to throw down some towers for catapult defense. It's interesting to note that DragonarcherZ is basically going for a very ground-heavy macro mech play. He's only now got his advanced workshop and really hasn't added any catapults out. Normally when I play, I like to get the catapults out, but this is definitely a more solid and more economic-focused way to play mech that DragonarcherZ is showcasing here. He's tightly walled on both sides of his base. Here he's just keeping a really strong contingent of troops and just making it so that it's hard for Visixfan to get any aggressive pushes onto his forces. He'll probably throw a tower down here, and then catapult and tower here will keep this pretty safe. Meanwhile, the archers are going to dance around, try to engage the Gatling guns, but I think there's enough Gatling guns here that plus these catapults, DragonarcherZ should be able to deal with these archers. Probably not be able to kill them, but should be able to deal with them pretty efficiently. You can see here he's hitting Q just to zone the archers out and hopefully get those juicy AoE shots if he can. If we jump back to the units tab, we can see that DragonarcherZ is up to a nice 33 worker economy. As he keeps pumping out more and more workers. He's got 1-1 on his units, whereas Visix only has that +1 with +2 attack coming. Also archer range, so Visixfan is definitely going for this really strong archer force. Oh, this catapult almost runs into the archers, but good play from DragonarcherZ to realize that, grab it, and get it out of the way. I think Visix could probably add a couple more workers on this base, but in general his economy is so healthy, it doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, he's not really spending his money as freely as he should be. He's at almost 800 gold. So you can see that DragonarcherZ is really keeping his money under probably a better control than Visix is. And now he's finally going to be able to scout this top left base. And this base is actually quite vulnerable to catapults landing here and just shelling this position. So it's going to be tough for Visix to deal with that. He's going to have to spread some archers around in different positions to try to... and here we see some Q attack going down. But this tower is taking a lot of damage. This entire drop's going to get cleaned up by these archers in a second here. But not without getting rid of that tower, which means future catapult drops. And we can already see airships being queued up. Future catapult drops will come in and really start to do damage. But we can see DragonarcherZ is kind of in trouble now with as far as his mining goes. He's only got 3 bases, and he's only now getting his 4th base. So clearly there's going to be some issues showing up very soon here as far as gold goes. Meanwhile, we see Visix is just continuing to snipe forward with his units. He really needs to watch out as far as his army goes, because he's losing a lot of archers here kind of for free. It remains to be seen if he has the production to back it up. He's finally now adding on a much more production, so he's going to be able to get a really massive force of archers who already have +2 and +1 range out on the map. But the supplies are very equal. Only now is Visix really getting to leverage that economic advantage he has had for so long. And of course, banking gold is, not going to be as useful as gold in the moment. So, Even though he got a ton of that gold early, I'm not sure if he was able to leverage that gold advantage as efficiently as he could have. But he's definitely going to be at a really nice gold lead at the moment. Alright. And he's also been trying to poke here, but with multiple towers and a catapult, it's going to be very impossible for Visix to put any pressure on that position there. So this is I think, a really key thing to note for how DragonarcherZ is playing this mech. In my previous video, we saw how Visix was able to actually do a lot of damage to me through this backdoor position and clear out my entire base actually here. And in this case, DragonarcherZ is really respecting that threat, and by keeping a catapult and 2 towers, and because of the way the map is, without the high ground, it's basically impossible for these archers to push up into this choke point and do any sort of damage. So basically, DragonarcherZ has totally secured this backdoor. And this is, I think, a really key, important thing when it comes to playing Mech, is you got to be very solid and airtight. You can see just the number of towers DragonarcherZ is putting down here, and the slow pace he's taking this game at. Meanwhile, we have a major attack coming out. Sorry, I missed that for a second. And it looks like DragonarcherZ's entire force is going to get surrounded here. He still has a lot of catapults, so I'm not sure if this Rack's force is going to be cleaning out the entire force. It looks like it will. And this is a pretty major victory for Visixfan here. He's basically been able to clean out the entire force from DragonarcherZ, and he takes a pretty commanding supply lead. So a really nice fight there from Visixfan. Unfortunately, we have more and more towers and castles being thrown up for DragonarcherZ. So it remains to be seen whether Visix can capitalize on this. He really should be able to. This force should be able to clean out this entire area. And that's going to put DragonarcherZ in a tough spot economically speaking. One thing he does, the mech player really has going for him is his upgrades. He's up to +4, +1 on his units, whereas Visix really only has +1. Man, if he'd only just right-clicked here, he'd be able to kill all these towers with these soldiers. I mean, these towers are not going to stand up very long against +4 soldiers. I mean, look at how fast this soldier is going to kill this tower. And this is going to put Daz in a really tough spot as far as economics go. Visix basically has the entire map up. These catapults do 10, looks like they kill about 12 workers over here. So these catapults are really doing good execution. But I'm not really sure if it matters that much in this case, because Visix has just so much production that it's going to be really, really tough for DragonarcherZ going forward. He's going to be mining out pretty soon, and where does he take a 5th base? He's going to have to contest this mine, but at this point, he doesn't really have the forces to take open engagements. So meanwhile, we just got more and more forces being pushed up here. The Rax player has basically secured the entire map, except for this one position. So he's going to have to send a small group of units back to hopefully deal with this catapult force. Meanwhile, DragonarcherZ is forced to just continue to stay back, guard his bases up. He's got his continued upgrades coming, so he's going to be going up to, I believe, +5, +2 in just a second here. So his upgrades are going to be really excellent. Whereas, looks like Visixfan is only at +5 attack and no armor upgrades. So, like, everything, including the Gatling guns, are just going to blitz through every Rax unit. Every time one of these catapults actually hits something, he's going to be like almost one-shotting these workers. He's got +20 attack. He does 78 damage per shot. So, easily two-shotting all these Rax units, utterly smashing them down. And I think you're going to see that in this engagement. Meanwhile, this catapult is still doing damage up at the top. This engagement is really going well for the Mech player. His catapults are basically unpunishable right now, and they're just doing massive damage. And I think it's going to come down to, at this point, whether Visixfan can get together the units he needs to totally deal with this Mech force. Honestly, I think things like possibly even something like mages could be useful. Maybe drops. I think getting some workshops at this point and dropping soldiers in the backfield could get really strong. Also, I think he just needs to start getting some armor upgrades. Even though armor upgrades don't do that much against catapults, at least it starts to negate a little bit the mass amount of damage that these Gatling guns especially are going to be doing. It looks like Visix is going to try to go for some form of surround. There's a lot of caltrops on the left flank here. It's going to make it a little bit difficult for these units from DragonarcherZ to cleanly engage into these artillery. You can see that the catapult line on the left here is basically forcing these soldiers all to be cheated back. And DragonarcherZ is now basically getting out to max supply of Mech with really nice upgrades. So even though he's been on low economy this entire time, he's really efficiently used his units. He hasn't lost a lot, and in the process, he's going to be totally taking out this base here on the right side, and he's also going to be expanding on the left. So seeing that there's all these mech forces here, Visixfan is now making this play where he's going to try to counterattack on this side and try to do some damage to the economy and the production of DragonarcherZ. But a couple catapults from Daz is actually able to clean this out. It looks like he's going to pull the boys a little bit and get some nice worker fighting going here. This mech forces continue to march through, and really Visix is struggling a little bit to deal with it, but he is slowly taking out all the catapults. The soldiers are starting to get on top of the catapults here. And even though the catapults continue to fire, slowly but surely, I think these fresh reinforcements are going to push this back. We're going to reach an equality in the center of the map here. If we look at the income and the gold lost, you can see that Visix has lost about, or actually has mined about 24, or about almost 500 gold more, and the units lost is actually really, really close. So it's pretty impressive that Daz is still in this game, because economically speaking, he's been at a really not big deficit. But I think these upgrades are really starting to tell, and I really wish that Visix would add some armor upgrades, because I think that would really help his soldiers last longer against these massive catapults and cannon forces. Because right now, Visix is really struggling to really engage in on the mech forces of DragonarcherZ. And in the meantime, his economy I don't think he's really been resaturating as efficiently as he could be. Probably could have a couple more workers at a lot of these gold bases. Whereas DragonarcherZ is, well, he can also have a couple more workers there. I don't think there's any reason this can't be fully satted. But DragonarcherZ is slowly but surely expanding here, and it looks like he's going to secure the middle of the map. So now it's going to be pretty tough, I think, for Visix to really cleanly secure a good fight right now, because his units are just at a severe, well, they're at a +2 upgrade disadvantage. I think DragonarcherZ, if he could afford it, it would be worth it if he could add on some armor as well. Of course, the upgrades do scale in cost, so at this stage in the game, it's tough to spend too much. Visixfan is going to snipe this castle here, but castle is really just a paperweight at this point. There's no more gold to be mined, so he just kind of wasted some time there, killing a pretty unimportant structure. And at this point, it feels like the upgrades are enough that these cannons are just totally smashing through the position of Visixfan. And this mech army is just so unbeatable. There's nothing the archers can do except die at this point, as the rocks just fall in on them. Shot after shot from this mech force is just so strong. And you can see here that just taking these straight up mech fights is really tough for the Rax army. I truly feel that Visix needs to make some sort of tech transition, or in some way do something different from just this massive Rax spam. Even like, I would say, drop ships or something to drop on top of the catapults would be more efficient, because just these slow engagements with kiting is just making it too hard to even get close to winning any of these fights. I mean, basically it's been a couple minutes since it feels like DragonarcherZ has lost a unit. And you can kind of see that reflected in the units lost. Before we were at 1,400 gold a player, and now DragonarcherZ has only lost about 200, and Visix has lost almost 500. So it's just really hard for our Rax player to even engage here. And the economic woes of Mech are completely over. He's been able to secure a 5th and 6th base, getting a 7th base. And at this point, I think there's just not a lot for the Rax player to do at this moment. He's behind about 50 supply. He's behind upgrades. and his units are just not able to win these fights. They're just getting slaughtered at every turn. Yeah, I don't really see a way for Visix to pull this one back at this point. He's kind of used up his gold advantage. He's lost position on the map. He does have this far left base, but DragonarcherZ is basically securing this entire right side of the map, and I think it's going to be really, really hard for Visix to get any advantage here. I think this game is basically over at this point. Excellently played Mech game from DragonarcherZ. He played it really patiently. I think it's really important to point out this Sim City that he's done here, as well as on his 4th base. I think that really enabled him to take the fights in the middle of the map, and yeah, by taking the fights in the middle of the map with Mech Force and better upgrades, you basically just win. Yeah, I agree with DragonarcherZ. I think dropships are good. I think basically you just need to leverage your forces a little bit better when you're taking these fights, because if you're just taking straight up fights versus catapults, you're just not going to win those. But yeah, really well played DragonarcherZ. Congratulations to him. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. More videos coming out soon. This was submitted to me by, I believe, Visixfan or Itano, I can't remember. But in any case, if you guys have really good replays or high-level games to send me, you can do that at slimer4@gmail.com. I'm going to be trying to casting and going over some more replays from other players as much as I can. So yeah, do that, and I will see you later.